He doesn't want you to be afraid. As we'll see in a moment, the opposite of worship. Worship is drawing near. So the opposite of worship is to stand far off. God says, don't be afraid. I don't want that. I don't want you to back away from me. I want to dwell with you. I want to be near you. But this is not going to be a thing lightly done. Not to be trifled with. Intimacy, yes. Carelessness, no. And the purpose, he says, is that you may not sin. So that you obey. Obedience as a category in the Christian life does not disappear because we are saved by grace. Some people act as if we're saved by grace, therefore we never talk about obedience. Well, you're going to have a hard time making sense of the Bible that way. Saved by grace, delivered out of Egypt, given the law after the gospel, and now God says, I want you to follow me. So we must have a category of obedience as a Christian, and we must retain this category of fear as a Christian. Fear. Fear can be a healthy motivator. Yes, there's a wrong kind of cowering, servile fear, and there's a right kind of healthy fear, and God says, I want you to have that reverence, that awe, that respect, that fear, so that you take these commandments with the utmost seriousness. Fear motivates us all the time. It's why you drive more carefully in the snow, one would hope. It's why you take your medicine. It's why when the doctor says, you better eat your vegetables or you're going to get sick and die, you weigh that for a time. But eventually you think, I better eat better. It's why you take a safety class before you handle a knife or a gun, or you have a lock on your saw. Why you are careful when you do things that push yourself to the limits. I told you a couple years ago, some of my friends from high school must have been having like a pre-midlife crisis or something, said, hey, when you're out in Colorado in the summer, let's go climb one of these mountains. I said, does that involve camping? They said, just one night. I said, there's a hotel nearby. We could just get up real early. But they won out, and so we spent the night in a tent. And then we hiked up one of these 14ers, and I got to the top, and getting sort of dizzy as you don't have oxygen. And then the end of it is scrambling up these boulders to get to the top. And I just had one thought through my head. This is not the way I want to go to heaven. Really, this is preaching the gospel, doing something courageous, laying down life. This is not it. This is not how I want the last chapter. So it didn't matter. Fear was a very good motivator. Didn't matter if groups of small children were passing behind me. I just like this. Didn't matter if I had to scoot up the last rocks on my bottom. I was not marching up triumphant. I was marching up safely. Fear, and I'm here. I got down, only one sprained ankle, only minor heroics, but I made it. Fear is a healthy motivator. And so the Lord says, you fear and you obey. That's why the fear of the Lord is what? The beginning of wisdom. Your iPhone is not the beginning of wisdom. It's the beginning of knowledge in some sense. It's the beginning of distraction for sure. It's not the beginning of wisdom. The way to be wise, the starting point, say there is a God, He's a big God, He's not to be trifled with. If you want to be wise in your life, that's how you start. Any other starting point is going to be a path of foolishness. There is a God, He's a big God, He's not to be trifled with. If you get that locked into your head and your heart, at the beginning of being a very wise person